hello. Hey, shit talkers. Welcome to another session of Shit Happens, sponsored by TalkShitWithP. I'm getting very good at this. Like, I am so proud of myself, yeah. And for everybody who has been watching from the beginning, we started in February. I'm pretty sure you can tell the difference. If you can't, shame on you, y'all. Shame on you. But I know I'm growing. But if y'all see, I'm wearing a Podfest shirt because all my guests today are Podfest members. I've known them through Podfest, and we have one right now. We have another one at 1 o'clock, and 2 o'clock, and another one at 3. Yeah, 2 and 3. Both of them are Podfesters, which I love. I love my Podfest farm. And the guest I have today, if you have been listening to Talk Shit with P, then you probably already know him because he's been a guest on Talk Shit with P. But today, we're going to celebrate him. What do I mean by celebrating him? There's some news that he just shared, and I wanted to make sure that he gets the celebration, the recognition he deserves. But with no further ado, allow me to bring onto the stage the one and only Charlie. Hey, Charlie, welcome to Shit Happens.
Hey, Paula, I'm thrilled. It's like jumping into a cold stream. I'm absolutely excited to be here with you. And so, as I was mentioning, so excited about what you're doing now and this shift in your format. It's so cool. But thank you so much for having me on. I'm so excited.
Thank you. And I love when I have people on who I'm breaking their virginities, because Charlie was just telling me that he hasn't done live streams. So I like it when I'm like, oh my God, I'm your first? Yes. Like,
you're definitely my first live stream. Yes, I'm a live stream virgin. That's okay. I like it. Yeah.
And that's what we like at Shit Happens, because the shit happens, and you being our first, that's shit happening, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, proud to be a shit talker. Absolutely.
But Charlie, before we get into what I wanted to talk today, right? And you were asking me in the back room before we got on, what are we doing today? And I say we're celebrating you. And it's funny how so many people have this fear of being celebrated, because when I told Charlie that we're going to celebrate, he's like, oh no, that's not what we should be doing. And I'm like, why not? Like, people, you all deserve to be celebrated for the amazing shit that you're doing. And your book, which I was supposed to have it here with me, but it's Shit Happens. It's my show. I can do whatever the fuck I want to do. So,
yeah,
real quick, your book, which by the way, y'all, I still love how he signed for me. And when I tell you, I told Charlie I'm keeping the envelope because look at that, and I still have it inside with the card, and like it's right there. But your book just recently got to Amazon. People now can get it on Amazon.
Yes.
And you also shared a story about somebody who picked your book at Podfest, and they actually reached out after reading it.
Yes.
And telling you, and most of the time people don't tend to reach out. Just like when you have a podcast, right? You don't get reviews of people telling you, oh my God, this episode touched me or anything. People just go on with their lives. So when people reach out to actually tell you how much this book meant to me or whatever, that is extra special, because they took the time out to really sort you and tell you, and that shows how much it meant to them. So congratulations. How do you feel?
Well, I'm excited, and I'm really grateful for you for talking about it. It is, I've got sort of a slightly new cover from the one that you've got. I think I need to send you one of these. It's the same book, but I changed the cover under advice of a friend of mine. And anyway, so excited to have it on Amazon, because I did the first year with a local company, a brick and mortar store here in the Washington, D.C. area. And it was just hard for people to find it. So in talking about publishing, you learn by your mistakes. And not that I have anything bad to say about the brick and mortar store. People look for books on Amazon, right? And that's where they say, oh, I looked on Amazon, I couldn't see your book. And I'm like, so it is a victory to get that on. But I'll tell you what happened that you referred to so nicely. And you're right. It's very rare when people really say thank you and acknowledge something. And some of the comments I got back your comment and a few, I think, on LinkedIn, because I did a post about it there as well, where it's so powerful. Thank you for making this comment, because it reminds us to do that for the people that we love and love their work and experience change based on their work. So Marilyn Ball, her radio and podcast and endeavor is called Speaking of Travel. I think it's speakingoftravel.net. Paula, and she and I really didn't have a chance to talk too much. I met her at the Authors Alley at Podfest 24, where you stand and give away a small quantity of books. And Marilyn came up and grabbed one of the books, and I remembered her face. Then she reached out to me a couple weeks ago and said, "Can we do a Zoom?" And I was so excited to talk to her. I had no idea what she had in mind. You know, I run a production studio here in Washington, D.C. called Podville Media, and we produce for an awful lot of people, always looking for new clients in the area, and by remote. We do a whole lot of stuff. You can see it on the website, podvillemedia.com. But so I was delighted to talk to Marilyn, and it was just a few minutes into our conversation when she said, the only reason I wanted to do this call, and she was so sweet. I don't know if you got to meet her as well at Podfest. She said, the only reason I wanted to do this call is to tell you how much I loved your book. And she went in on detail. We had many similarities. She'd looked up my profile, and she'd been in tourism. I've been in tourism. She'd had a golf client from her marketing company. I used to be in the golf industry. She'd been sailing. My college philosophy paper was the Tao of sailing, and now I've got the Tao of podcasting. So it was so gratifying to know after just a few minutes that someone really, really, really got my book in a way that I might never have thought anyone would have gotten it. And the most beautiful thing at the end was we spoke for over half an hour and promised to get together again. We've been emailing back and forth. And she said, I just want to take a moment and read to you a passage of your book. And it was really so cool, Paula, because she read to me one of the passages I wrote on listening. I talk a lot in there about engaged listening, and I want us all to sort of think about this process and what we do in the communication and media and podcast world. And it was just really, thank you for letting me talk about it. It was really, really touching and so much fun to have someone call up and say, words like that. I wrote this out of a place in my heart, and to have someone experience that. I'd actually had lunch with a guy a few days before who'd turned over the corners of pages in the book, which I was amazed at. Shout out to Turner, he's a yoga instructor and a wealth manager, and he'd loved the book and said, I just am having so much fun with it. And I could see that he turned over about a half quarters of the pages. So it's really been a journey, Paula, and so much fun to have that happen to me. So I asked her if it was okay if I did a post about it, and she said, of course. So I couldn't help myself. So that's.
And I love that. And that's why I said we needed to celebrate you, because writing a book, or whether producing a podcast or creating art, writing a poem, whatever creative you're doing, it takes a lot, right? It takes a lot to get you in your creative space. It takes a lot to put it out, and then to let it go to the world, where the world is also filled of, yes, we have supportive people, but it's also filled with judgmental, filled with hate, and filled with all this shit. And especially a world where people, I'm not saying she's the only one who likes it. I mean, there's so many people who like it, but people who actually take the time to reach out and tell you that. There are few of those people who actually do that. And I think that's why, for me, I might not reach out to say, but I most of the time I do. But I will create also a video, right? If I receive something, I'll create an unboxing video. If I receive, just to show that I am grateful that you took the time to send me something and everything. And I think I loved that you also did that video, because people do need reminder, and those people who say thank you also feel appreciated in a different way, because you're shining them to the world, right? And I also like that you did ask for their permission, because some people don't like the limelight on them, and they'll be like, yo,
Yeah.
I don't want. Just like when I give out items to people and I take their pictures for content, later on before I post, I do send it to them and be like, are you okay with me sharing this? Because you gotta respect people's privacy as well, right? But it's also amazing that you created that video, and as you said in the comments, people are saying thank you for reminding us. Because even though some people do want to thank you, life just takes you so quick. Like life
Right.
moves so fast. They have that idea, but they never get to doing it. And that's why reminders are important into people's lives. Like you created that, and people are like, oh shit, I should do this. You know, I always used to do this, but life got in the way, and now I need to get back to it.
Right.
Or how look how he appreciated that. I should make my friends feel like that when they give me their item, or I buy their item, or I get hold of their item, right?
No, I've learned so much from watching you. That's why I did my brief unboxing yesterday. But speaking of video,
I loved it, the Amazon unboxing. I was like, oh my god, I love this.
That's all your fault, because I love your unboxing videos, and you did an unboxing, I think, when I sent you the book. And but thank you videos. I don't know if Beck Johnson is listening, BEK, who does some really fun podcast tips on TikTok, and I got to know her through TikTok. I sent her a book too, Paula, and she also did the most beautiful review video on TikTok for me, and I was very grateful to her, and hope to meet her someday. But yes, no, I do a lot of videos now because I watch Paula Talk Shit with P, and I've learned from your social media, you know, the flood of social media that you do. I so much wanted to sit down with you at Podfest and get some pointers, because I'm just learning by, as my father would have said, by osmosis, trying to learn from Paula, and the unboxing is absolutely a tribute to you.
Thank you very much. But have you noticed when you did it how much fun it is to do unboxing videos?
Yeah.
Like right now, I'm like, can you all send me shit? Because I miss unboxing shit. Like I love unboxing videos. Like just because you're also inviting your listeners, your viewers, your fans, your supporters, whatever you call them, right?
Right.
To have that first experience with
Yeah.
you. You're sharing it with them. Like
Yeah.
if I'm getting surprised, if I'm getting shocked, if I like it, if I don't, like my face is gonna say it all. So they get
That's right.
the real reality of it. And I just love them. I
Yeah.
just love them. And I'm like, you're doing it. And again, I am so sorry. I feel like this Podfest, like I was put in so many
You were. You were.
where every time the people, like I am grateful for everybody I met, and I always make it my priority to get to know the first timers more than the
Right.
OGs. Like if I've already known you, I know we are gonna connect in so many ways, as long as I've gotten a hug and said a quick hello. But I always want to get to know the first timers and make them feel welcome so that they can keep coming back. So I always end up, as more years come, I always end up speaking less to my OGs, who I'm always excited to go for.
I could tell.
Then, and this year I was so busy to the extent where, and people tell me, they're like, you were everywhere. I kept on saying, I'm like, I feel like I was everywhere, but also I feel like I was nowhere, because the people, I didn't get to hang out with some of my usual people. Like you, I believe I saw you 2 or 3 times.
Yep.
And the last time when I saw you, I thought, oh my God, we're going to, and you're like, oh, but I'm leaving. I was like, wait, what? And if I had known, maybe if I'd known earlier that you're not staying until the last day, I would have kind of been like, I need to. But I like that I was a part of your presentation.
You were part of my presentation and did my little striptease down to my Peachy Coochie shirt. Yes. And I loved it. And I was scared because you had left the room briefly. I was like, I can't do this without Paula. I have to have her in the room because you were in my slides. And Holly.
And it's funny you say that, because even Peter, because I walked out for a second, right? Because it was kind of delayed and I needed to go check on something real quick. And even Peter was like, oh, thank God you're back, because you're part of my presentation as well. And then you said the same thing. I was like, okay.
Oh, really?
because I was part of Peter's, I was part of yours, but Peter needed
That's
me
right.
in person on the stage.
Right.
And you, but I was just to be able to see that. I even texted Ollie and I was like, you're not here personally, but you are here virtually because you are just shining on the stage. And that was beautiful. And you're the OG of Pecha Kucha. Like, we do Pecha Kucha, but you've been doing it more than us. But it's always a pleasure. And anytime, because I know me and you need to speak on our merchandising plans. Oh my God! Oh yeah, the sticker. Wait, is that our off? Oh, the sticker. Yes.
The Pecha Kucha sticker, if I can get it in the right place.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, right there. But we need to speak on the merchandising and as well as social media. Anytime you wanna talk to me about that, you have my fucking phone number.
I do.
All you need to do is text me and say, hey, are you available today this time for 30 minutes? I will hop on the call with you anytime, any day, anywhere. Okay?
I'll do it. I just got to make sure you're not streaming.
Yeah,
that'll be a new sticker from you. You can talk. I'm not streaming right now.
You see, that's why I love having conversations with you. We always kind of give each other new ideas of merch or branding or stickers. Like, it always comes like, now I'm like, yo, that would be so amazing. Like, but we have plans and we have to do it before 2024 is over, because we are going to take it with us to 2025 Podfest. So we got work to do, okay?
Yep. No, I'm trying to do is trying to come up with ways like we are now, but ways beyond this to collaborate this year. That's kind of my secret word is, can we figure out ways to collaborate with each other? And so I'm still following you. I have new yin yang microphone stickers. They're just small ones that I got and from what is it, Sticker Mule, Paula, and they're die cut, so that's kind of fun. It's hard to get your thumbnail under the corner, but it does work. It's on the back of my phone, so you can get a size. If somebody wants one, just send me a note. I'll be happy to send you one of these. I
need one for my phone because the other one was a little bit big.
The other one was too big.
Yeah.
That's why I did these. So when I send you a fresh copy of the book, I'll send you a couple of those stickers. And it's just, just to touch on that, if you forgive me briefly, I'm just trying to say with Taoism and podcasting and media and communication, that there's a moment where we should pause and take a deep breath and forget about the gear and forget about the tech part. Not that that's not important. It's how we can do it, but to take a moment and remember the why and the how and what we're trying to do and communicate with each other and express love and interest and knowledge. And so that's kind of what I'm doing. I've had a chance since writing the book and since meeting you face to face. Now I'll remind you that we met sort of digitally before podcast 2023, because you and I were posting and trying to do
win. We won VIP tickets for the real.
That was so cool. That was so cool.
And this one, when they posted all the winners, I went and reposted and tagged and followed all the winners. And even though both of us have been in the community of Podfest for so long, it was actually in 2022 when we participated in that reel where it was okay, and then we were both volunteering. Where you were an ambassador, because I only became an ambassador this year, but you were already an ambassador, and I was volunteering in the front end. And we kept on, and we were like, okay, we're going to chill with each other. And that's when our bond kept on being closer. But it's also being intentional with the connections you make, right? Because we could have easily after there be like, okay, see you next year.
But we met live here in DC, and we
kept on connecting and communicating and stuff. And we are each other's big supporters on social media. Like, we repost each other's shit, we share, oh my God, I didn't know if you do this.
There's another one. Have you seen this one? Is it going to do it? The fireworks. Do you
have a MacBook?
No.
Apple? How come mine is not coming? Or is it because I'm on my phone?
I don't know. It's probably because I'm on the desktop. And
gotcha.
I learned that by mistake, though. I was doing this one day, and that came up, and I thought, what in the world is that?
Because it's funny, on Zoom, every time we take a pic, like on Zoom, if I do peace, it comes the balloons. There we go. Yes.
Yep.
But on Zoom, I can do it on my phone. I don't know why here I can't do it on my phone.
I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah. Yep.
But
So anyway.
I feel like me and you need to do a case study about speaking, being a Pechakucha speaker for Podfest next year. We can apply to do a case study on how to be a Pechakucha speaker.
Well, I'll talk about it briefly because the first time I went, I don't remember. Chris might remember. Chris Kremitzos, what year it was. It wasn't his first year. It might have been the second or third. I don't know. It was before COVID, and I went down. It was before I even partnered with my business partner, Oscar. So it has to be 6 or 7 or 8 years ago. I went down.
That's why I say you're the OG of Pechakucha.
Well, I'll tell you the evolution of my Pichakucha story, with all apologies. So if you don't know what a Pichakucha is, it's a 5-minute rapid public speaking opportunity. You have 20 slides that you're not in control of, right, Paula? And you can go and so they're about every 20 seconds, and you've got 5 minutes, and you probably want to try and focus on the timing because of that. There's a microphone sticker I sent you. Yay. So I'm working on a new store, Paula, because you're such a merchandise expert of a Shopify store. It's not open yet, but I'm going to try to get it open by the end of the month. So I need to call you like tomorrow and talk about all these things. So
and I'm very free tomorrow because I have a flight to catch in the afternoon, but the whole day I'm not live streaming. I didn't schedule anything for tomorrow, so I can just be
I'll send you a text
peasy.
a little later. I've got a meeting after this, just like you do, but we'll try and arrange a time. So I came to that first Podfest, like I say, 7-ish years ago, and was very nervous. I was still podcasting as a one-man show at that time, Paula, and I wanted to sort of make an impression. So I used a lot of my illustrations and kind of talked about what I was doing, and I tried to time it. And I'm a pretty good public speaker, but with trying to synchronize a short speech every 20 seconds, it was a little nerve-wracking. And then I've done it another time, and then I did it last year at 2023, and that was talking about the book, the Tao of Podcasting. So that had passages that had there you go. That's what I call the collection. I call that a confusion of microphones. Anyway, those are my stickers. I love it. I need to send you the Pichakucha sticker. I think I might be out of those, but anyway.
I think I have one.
I think I did send you one.
Yeah, I have one because it was a little big, and at that time my laptop was dying because this is a new one. So and I actually, because I took them off right now, and I was like, oh, let me put them on right now, and then I'm going to finish the rest later. But I need you to be sending me more notes because I like your handwriting and I like they come in Podville Media. So anytime you feel like you miss me, I love receiving letters and notes. Just FYI. Okay. But continue. Sorry.
No. So what happened to sort of finish the Pichakucha story is that last year I was very synchronized with the slides. I had the 20 slides. I had 20 seconds. I took note cards because I was really worried about the synchronization, and no flies on anyone who might be listening from the engineering of last year, but the automation of the slides for many of the speakers before me was a little iffy. So sometimes the slides worked, sometimes they didn't. And I thought, oh my goodness, if I've done all this and tried and practiced so many times to do it every 20 seconds and this doesn't work, I'm going to be really flustered. Now, I did the whole thing and it was fine. But this year I decided to go. So this year is the year I think I got it. I did, instead of 20 slides, I did 10. I repeated each one twice. And I had no remarks written down. I knew generally what I wanted to do, but I just wanted to stream it. There's your answer. I knew I was going to take off my shirt so I could show my Pichakucha t-shirt. And I
love the strip. And I was so happy I was right there to capture that moment. I was like, strip! If you listen to the video, you'd hear me shouting, yes, strip!
Yes, I can hear you saying more. No, I don't know if you said that, but I think you did. I
did. I was trying to turn it into a whole different show.
So what happened was I just had fun, because I wasn't worried. wasn't worried about the cadence. I wasn't worried about the synchronicity because it was just a free form speech. I wanted to say thank you to people like you and everybody in the room because I love Podfest. It's been a wonderful place more than anything else, making friends like you, like Holly, like so many other people that I could name, certainly Chris, who I have so much admiration for. And I wanted to say thank you. And so that's all I wanted to do. And this year, so that's your crash course in Picha Kucha. Just try to enjoy the process. It's not like a TED Talk. It's just a moment where you can stand in front. It's like open mic for podcasters in this case, or whatever the comments are. I've looked up and done some research on Picha Kucha. And as you know, I think when you do it, they send you some notes from Podfest on here's some other videos of people, and you can look into it on YouTube and try to find other people and other topics talking about it. It didn't originate with Podfest, so it's a format that's been around for a long time. And I'm not even sure if Picha Kucha
is Asia country.
I think so. I'm going to get it wrong, but I want to say Japan, but I'm not sure I'm right. And it may be supposed to be pronounced Pechakucha or sort of really quickly. Yeah. So I'm not at all sure we're saying it right, but I'm going to keep saying Pichakucha because I'm used to that. So it was so much fun.
But that's the thing. Even my first time when I did it, I really hated it and I tried to block it because I overthink it a lot, and it was just until when actually Rari brought it up and was like, Paula, you've done it before, and I was like, I'm trying to forget that I've done it before. But this time I was also very confident and I didn't even practice because I was like, I'm just going to put pictures of what I want to talk about, and as long as the slides are moving, I know exactly where my point is. And the thing is, Pechakucha, you're supposed to speak with something that's dear to you in your heart, something you're passionate about, something of your purpose. That way, you don't need notes, you don't need paper. It's 5 minutes standing on a stage and talking. So imagine how you would do a TEDx, but in a less TEDx way, if that makes sense.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
And that's what I think me and you can have, because we have had the messed up version, and we've had where we have actually captured the essence of it, where now I'm like, I kind of love Pechakucha, like put me on Pechakucha. So we can actually do a case study, a podcast to inspire more people to apply to be Pechakucha speakers.
You're absolutely right. And it's the one event since I started coming that I wouldn't miss. Because there's so much going on, so much variety of content, so much variety of message, so much sincerity, and as you say, there's people who are trying to learn how to speak and breaking in, and it's such a wonderful format that I think that's my don't miss part of the whole Podfest in terms of the things on the schedule. It's really the networking and meeting friends like you and so many other people that I met this year as well. But it was you that I wanted to meet last year because we already knew each other from Instagram.
And we got to hang a lot last year. We got to. I remember you came to me and was like, I'm tired of seeing everybody on your Instagram story. Let's take a selfie and put it. I was like, fun. And now it has become a tradition because now everybody's like, are you at Podfest if you haven't been seen with on Paula's story or with Paula? So now people just come to me to take selfies with me they can be on my side. It's such a nice tradition where I also feel like, oh my God, people kind of know me for this. Even Chris was like, please don't stop that. Please keep doing that. And I'm like, hell yeah, because I love it. And even I remember one time Justin was like, Paula, even though I know I'm coming to Podfest, and I'm just a day late, and I start looking at your post, I get jealous because you make it seem like if this is not where you are, then I'm sorry. I'm like, I'm sorry, but And this year, the Wi-Fi was kind of the network. My phone was kind of fucked up. The Wi-Fi was kind of. So I didn't get to post as much, even though I took. But while I was there, and because I was so busy wearing so many hats. Yeah. I remember to take selfies, but I would always post them, like not like last year where as soon as I take, I'm posting. As soon as I take, I'm posting.
Right.
But it's still amazing. And please, next year, I need you to come before and stay until the last day, cause you leaving me halfway, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But I
Right.
also want go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Before we our time runs out, because I'm like, oh my god, we're already 30 minutes in.
Oh
How
my
did
gosh.
time go so fast?
Yep.
The reason of the Tao of Podcasting was the behind the scenes, right? To appreciate all the parts of the production process. You, as you said, you have a studio, so you are the behind the scene guys. You are part of the production. Yes, you've also been in front of the mic, but you're also
Yep.
behind everything. So
Yep.
why was it important for behind the scenes to be known and to be appreciated and taken account into? Because I love it when people win awards or share testaments and also include the behind the scenes people, because especially if you have a team, right? It
Yep.
doesn't take one person. Yes, you are the main character, but
Yeah.
without those, you wouldn't be the main character
Right.
you are, right?
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, it is a team effort, obviously, and that's one of the underlying comments in this is to think about the different members, the people in the studio, the engineer, the producer, the host, the co-host, and to sort of think about that as a whole. It's sort of a natural part of the whole process. So, no, it's been a wonderful process going from to try and answer excuse me, what you're talking about is from going to a one-man show, which I was 11 years ago, still learning how to podcast, Paula, and trying to figure out how, as I often say, I had a PA system. I still have a PA system because I'm an amateur musician. And I thought, oh, well, podcasting, I'll just use my PA. That's all I need. Well, the PA, you can't use that for anything in podcasting. I took it all the way to the little office I had and figured out, okay, now I have this here and I need to not have it here because it can only make loud noises. But it has taken a process, and I love working in a team environment. It's one of my favorite things. In Podville, for example, here it's co-run by myself and my business partner Oscar, because we each add to the whole. So it wouldn't be right if it was just me, wouldn't be right if it was just him. We both have different experience, different life history. He had a lot of radio experience. I was in real estate, believe it or not. And as I said earlier, like Maryland, in golf and tourism and a number of other things before I started podcasting. So working with all these people has become essential for me in a team environment. And the quarantine was difficult because before quarantine, we had kind of a large room at our studio, which was in Glover Park here in Washington, D.C. at that time. And I loved it. It had been a Passport production studio. So they had this big room with a shelf, a desk, table all around the room. And we set that up as sort of a pod lab, and there were 10 workstations, and there were oftentimes we'd have 6, 8, and maybe even 10 people working in that room. We'd buy them lunch and all hang around and talk. And it was like, I think of a bullpen from the old days when you talk about newspapers and people all in the room writing articles and drawing cartoons. And I love that feeling and that group feeling. Of course, COVID has kind of taken that away from us, and now we work remote and part-time, and everybody has to have a separate workspace so we can have air filters and things like that. But I do love the communal environment where we can all get together and share ideas. Back in our Glover Park studio, we had 3 little studios, Paula, and one between 2 studios, we had one production room, double-sided with glass on either side. So we'd have sometimes 6 or 7 people wedged into this little room, each facing half facing Studio A and half facing Studio B, and talking all at the same time and producing. That doesn't happen quite so much anymore because we all know how much things have evolved for podcasting, and many people who are even close to us geographically prefer to do it from their home. It's just the way things have evolved, even though most of the masks have come off. But it's just the way things are now, and we've evolved as well. But I love working in a team environment, and I want to tell you what Oscar said about the book, Paula. He looked at it and said, do you know what this is, Charlie? It's a love letter to podcasting. And I thought that's the sweetest description that I'd ever heard. I hadn't realized it. And if I can just say one more thing about it, Paula, inside the book, and here's an example of 2 pages, you guys may have seen that there are illustrations. And I've been doodling my whole life, certainly doodled in the margins of all my textbooks in high school and lower school and college. And when I started podcasting 11 years ago, generally I was a co-host or host of those early shows that were pretty much all on SoundCloud. And the occasions when I was not the host or co-host, I would generally set up a little portable rig. Most of the time I was going to other people's offices, not too many in that early studio where I had them come into Gaithersburg. And I would set up my iPad and I would take a look at what was going around and often draw some aspect of the show, some aspect of podcasting. And I had no idea at all. I used to call it, I still have call it occasionally #podcast sketchbook. And when I remember to put that hashtag in there, because I'm still learning social media, Paula. And I realized when I finished this book, most works that talk about Taoism or the Tao Te Ching generally have Chinese brushstroke, if any of you out there have seen them, because the original text of the Tao Te Ching was written in Chinese calligraphy. And I thought, should I have brushstrokes in here? And tried to learn how to do it. And I couldn't really figure out how to do it. And of course, I don't know the language. And then I realized in a flash one night, I've been drawing these things for 11 years. I'll just put the illustrations in the book. And it sort of tells quietly the story of my podcasting adventures alongside the texts and the sort of poems, if you will, about it. So I really feel that it's been a joy to be able to put all these things together and share it with my audience at any rate, and you and everybody else to look and see these illustrations. So the yin yang microphone, the Picha Kucher, those stickers on the back of your computer are all some of my drawings from the last 11 years podcasting and doodling in the studio in the corners of Zoom and and on my iPad. So sorry. Oh, there it is. There it is. That's the little one from this year. That is the little one from this year. Yeah.
So I actually have 2. I think you sent me them, but and I finally got around.
Oh my gosh, there it is.
Because even the Pecha Kucha, I have 2.
Oh my gosh. Well, those are collector's items now because I don't have those anymore. And I probably would want to make them smaller just because those were so big. And that's part of my learning process, Paula, that you can probably help me with, is I didn't know how big or small until I got them. And I didn't understand it, at least with the company I used for those little ones. It gave me the sizes very clearly and I understood that. But it's a process where you learn sort of as you go, right? And
but that's the fun part, right? You get to learn as you execute.
Yeah.
And imagine, yes, you might not do this, and that's why you said it's a collectible item, right? I have one on my laptop because laptop dies, and sadly, the reason why it took a while for me to put my stickers, I was trying to find a cover. That way, even if the laptop dies or I end up selling it or gifting it, I can keep the cover with my stickers, but I couldn't, and I'm like, I'm tired. Yeah, but that one is there, and this one will always be with me because now I know you're never gonna make this size again. So even though it's a learning curve, it's also like a club we're in, right? The people who have who have already got this are the only ones who will ever have this, right?
Well, I want to take that, let's see, and put it on your Paula Pink and put it on a t-shirt for you, and you'll have to send me your size because I'm working on a Printify project so that I can give you a big t-shirt that says Picha Kucha on it.
Oh my God, I will be wearing it next year. That means that I don't care what they say. They'll have to just have me speak at Picha Kucha next year, or just go on the stage and be like, ha! Since y'all didn't let me speak, I still needed to show my shit. Right?
That's it. So we'll work on getting the Paula Pink version of the Pecha Kucha shirt. I hope the black and white will show up on the pink. It should.
Actually, can we do more purple, less pink?
We can do purple. We can do any color you want. That's what I was going to ask you. Yeah, Paula purple. I'll change that to Paula purple.
We are purple. We do have some pink, but we are a purple company. But
give me, and you can even give me the, you can help me choose the right purple. But I think I see it up there. And well, this screen sort of goes bluish purplish, right?
Yeah,
but
like,
I want to make sure it
goes dark to light. But yeah. I got you. Don't worry.
All right.
But I love the story, and I love that you did this. Like, and I've said it before. Like, the sketches, and for those who don't know, these are sketches you've been doing in decades in and around the studio, right?
Yes, all around. And it really worked so well when I finished all of my writing. And then I spent some time trying to match the right sketch with the right passage. And for the most part, I think I got it right. And that's sort of just between me and the book. But I tried to make them sort of synchronize in a way that made sense to me. And for the most part, they do. But it was also fun highlighting people like Sarah Frazier or Sarah Fernandez, who was my first employee at Podcast Village, which is what we called it in the beginning, and to highlight the Mike O'Mara Show, which is our daily podcast, and to highlight some of the pictures that I've sketched of their show and some of the things that Mike does and some of the other people that we worked with who are in the book. In fact, in the back of the book, see if I can find it really quickly, Paula. In the back of the book, there's a section called The People in the Sketches. And that just lists all the people that I drew. And I tried very hard to ask them all if I could have their permission. I remember I spent a few days calling people saying, I want to put the sketch I drew called Becky Briggs. And I talked to Kelly Carter and I asked Sheila Matthews and another Sheila if I could put their pictures in the book. And they all said yes. I think I contacted everyone. There might have been one or two from a podcast 10 years ago that I couldn't find and put them in the book. And it was really fun. It was a fun way for me to reconnect with those people too. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, because even though sometimes we want to reach out to our friends, our old, and as I say, life, right? You think about it and you say you're doing, but then when there's a project comes, like right now, I'm writing a book, right? And there are certain stories that I'm sharing that I want to put the pictures. So it's forcing me to reach out to those people to ask their permission and make them sign a consent allowing me to use that picture. So sometimes we do have, like, we remember them and we want to reach out, but life just, like, even right now, like, sometimes I'm like, I respond to messages in my head. I'm constantly saying, and then I look back, I'm like, why did this person ghost me? And then I go back, I'm like, oh, I'm the one who didn't send back the reply, because in my head, I thought I did the reply. Just like when I say, I'll call them later, and then later becomes 2 months, because you're constantly later. So it gives you that reason to reconnect, which is always amazing.
Yeah.
But also, before we also, by the way, if they are not ever coming for their painting, remember we talked about that one art piece that I'm like, I wouldn't mind a painting of that. And you said you had it for them. And if they don't come, I'm still here to be gifted. I'm just saying. But as we were talking about your book, and it recently went to Amazon, and you were sharing about the lessons you learned through doing stuff, right? Can we get into that a bit as, for people who are self-publishing or leaders? Why won't your book from the get-go in Amazon? Why did it take this long? Like, what's the process? What are the lessons you learned through that?
I originally published, I had done a book before. So if you look me up on Amazon, there'll be 2 books. And Podcasting Made Simple was a book I wrote with one of my clients, Hilda Labrada Gore. I don't know if you met Hilda. She was there in 23, Paula. And Hilda does a great show called Wise Traditions. And Podcasting Made Simple was essentially co-written with Hilda, and my father was very, very ill at the time, so it was difficult. We used some of my illustrations in that, but it was called Podcasting Made Simple, trying to show people some of the ways to do things. Unfortunately, fortunately, because of hardware and software advancements, the Rodecaster Pro came out a month later. And so it made my entire analysis and description of the mix minus technique, which is how we could originally in those days capture two ends of a phone conversation on two different tracks, trying to make it simple. And it was kind of complicated in the way to do that and the way to wire that with your soundboard. Well, once certain software and then Zoom came along, and it'll give you two tracks with a click of a button. So a lot of that book is outdated. I'm very proud of it, but it was outdated. So my first piece of advice is sometimes you want to write a book that is not caught by that trap, which was software and hardware immediately made a lot of the lessons that we talked about not meaningful anymore, if that makes sense to you. The reason I did it locally is that a lot of bookstores have gone away. Of course, and that's very sad. My wife and I are heavy readers. My daughter,
I miss going to bookstores, smelling the book,
right?
buying.
We started dating. All we did was go to used bookstores, and we just loved to spend hours and come back with bags of books. Now we've got a house full of books. We're trying to figure out where to put them all. But so I did it with a local store here in town that has a very good reputation. We love going there. They do lots of author talks. And I thought it would be fun to have it in a local store on the bookshelf. And the reason it took me a year to get on Amazon is because I had a contract with them. The downside, and I have nothing bad to say about them, and I won't bring up the actual name of the store, is that they charged for shipping. They charged a lot. And I did have two times when very close friends of mine said, "Oh, your book is out. Let me go and order it." And I said, "Well, you got to order it on this and such website." And they looked up and they got to checkout. They said, "Whoa, I'm going to wait. And I'll get it when I walk into the store when I get home." And that was a real key indicator that something was going on. I figured out how much it was, and it was quite a lot in shipping. And what the truth of the matter is in terms of this point is with Amazon.com, whether we like it or not, and we've all heard difficult stories about Amazon and their and production and why it comes so quickly. People are used to free shipping, and I can't compete with that. And there's no point in competing it. It was, to sort of move on from that, it was somewhat a difficult process to reformat the book from the press that we did locally to Amazon. It took me 2 months to figure out how to do that. So once my year was up, it took me over 2 months to get it reformatted for Amazon. It's called KDP. Probably everybody knows that, but it's Kindle Direct Publishing. So you can do the book. And in about a year, I'll probably release it as an ebook, but it's not, I don't want that now. I really want people to have the book and hold it and be able to put it down and then just pick it up, read a page and put it away. And maybe before you podcast, you take a look at it, open it anywhere, read a passage, kind of, hopefully that will make you think, and then move on. I want to do some posters, Paula, so I do need your marketing advice, because wouldn't it be cool if I did part of a verse and a drawing, and that could just be on a small poster on a studio wall? And that's what I think it should be. Right.
We have a date called tomorrow.
You got it.
I got you. We're going to talk all of those tomorrow. I got you.
So I think I'm working on a couple of other books and treatments. I think I would encourage everyone to look at Amazon as the place to probably start. And I also mentioned the author talk. I was really excited about giving an author talk about the book. And I thought, Paula, that I'd bring my team up from the studio and we could do video of it, and how exciting and sort of sexy that would be. I could put it on social media, right? And the truth of it is they had so many people who had self-published because of quarantine and trying to do things, that they didn't want you to bring an audience. My mother would have had to be in a wheelchair and she wouldn't have been able to get in the store. And in fact, it was rapid fire, kind of like Picha Kucha. So you got 3 minutes, I think, and you weren't encouraged to have any, you weren't encouraged to be what they call a bringer. you know, if you're a comedian, you bring 10 people who will come to your open mic. So you weren't asked to bring any people because it was going to be too crowded in this little bookstore.
Wow.
So it was rapid fire. And Adrian, the wonderful person who helped me, Adrian Hand, who helped me with the book and sort of getting it finished and getting it laid out, came and gave the speech for me because I was away at a function for my son. And she did a wonderful job, but it was sort of a very rapid fire technique where I just I would have been frustrated because I had a different idea, but they had so many people who had self-published during that time. I don't blame them at all, but I think it's better to try and anticipate what the reality is going to be. I think before COVID, you would have gotten 10 minutes and the store would have been yours, and you might have been doing that with one other person. But that's not the way it was. So I think it's better for all of you out there who are thinking of publishing or self-publishing a book. The Amazon KD process is a little finicky. If I had written it in Microsoft, it would have been smooth sailing, I think. But once you get into it, you'll probably be able to figure out there's tons of YouTube videos about this process, lots and lots to learn it. But I would recommend looking at that and publishing on Amazon, because people, when you have a book, they say, oh, I'll just go on Amazon. I have heard that so many times. That's why I'm so relieved that it's finally on Amazon, and it took a while.
Me too. And that's why I said we needed to celebrate you, because I remember, because when I wasn't able to come to the Arthur's meet and greet last year. Mm-hmm. And by the time I hanged out with you, you were out of your books, and I was like, "Oh, Amazon," and you're like, "No, it's not on Amazon. I'll just ship it to you."
That's right.
Because it's funny, and it gets irritating that people want to buy it, but then of course, and anytime, this is not just for books.
Right.
Most of us even would do online shopping. Like sometimes we just purchase it, and then we end up to the finalized. And then you see that shipping cost, and you're like, you know what? Maybe not, because it depends if the amount is.
That's right.
Is the same or more of the book. Like it kind of changes directions, however much you want to support somebody, right?
Yeah. So that's exactly right. So
I'm glad you were able to sort that out, and we have it on Amazon. And it's funny because you were trying to give back to the community, right? Because you like the bookstores, you have issue, you want it in your local bookstore, but then it 100%. Also ends up being such a drag with, like, okay, you're limited to how many people to do the reading. Okay, the shipping costs. So now it becomes more stress. Like I'm trying to bring, like, to make you, because I'm giving you your bookstore the visibility, right? But then you're also making it hard for me as a writer who's trying to accomplish.
And fortunately or unfortunately, I've only run into one person, Elise Mullen, who contacted me and said, "Is this your book? I saw it in the bookstore." So there are less people who go out to stores just to browse the shelves. And if you're in the Chinese philosophy section, and there's usually not really a podcasting section, although I saw at the, oh my gosh, Paula, I saw at the FedEx store. Dave Johnson, right? School of Podcasting. I saw his book, and I said, "Oh my gosh, there's Dave Johnson's book," to the person behind the cash register. And I said, "Oh my gosh, I'd love to have my book there." And they said, "Well, you probably can." And they don't sell a lot of copies at the FedEx store, if you know what I mean. So it was very funny. They're like, "We don't move a lot of copies of books here," but that's where you always see, 1001 dad jokes, those books at FedEx. And I thought, man, there's Dave Johnson's. I think it was about monetization of the podcast.
Shout out to Dave James.
Shout out to Dave, who I also sort of pass in the hallway at Podfest, because he's so busy giving lots of presentations and has created a wonderful resource for all podcasters. So it's called the School of Podcasting. And but Paula, I just love being here with you. Can't wait to talk to you tomorrow and talk about merchandising and marketing and social media. And just so proud of the friends that I've made at Podfest. So if anybody out there is thinking of, do I go? I'm starting to podcast. I want to learn more. I want to expand my network. I think Podfest is as I said in my Peachy Coochie speech, to try to bring this to a close for you, Paula, I think the best part of Podfest is the friends that you make and the community that you're welcomed into. I've never met. First thing I told Chris when I first met Chris during my first year, was what an amazing community you've created. And I've been in lots of organizations in my life, and I've never met one with a more welcoming feeling. And everyone was just happy to know you and talk to you and compare notes, and made such wonderful friends.
It really is, and I tell anybody, like, if you go to Podfest and you tell me you didn't find your people, you didn't fit in, you felt some type of way or anything, please come talk to me, because there's no way that is possible.
Right. Yeah.
And those friendships, those connections, they actually end up becoming a family. That's why I consider Podfest a family, because everybody
Very
who I've
much.
met, we have ended up from being like strangers to probably collaboration to friendship to your family now, like your family. Like now I know any city I go, if I know there's a Podfest who lives there, like I'm gonna hit you up if you're, and they will always make time. For some reason we love each other that much. Like and sometimes you even you came to my city and you didn't call me, you didn't let me know. Like what? And I'm like, I'm sorry, it was a quick call.
Well, you're such a wonderful person. You didn't come to my city, you came to Baltimore. I was so excited about your involvement.
And you were gonna come to my talk until I said I'm gonna make it to DC. Let's do lunch. But you were willing to drive to Baltimore to come see me, and that means a lot. And that's why I was like, wow, because he's willing to do all that. If I can make it to DC, why not just have lunch and I get to also hang out with you and Ollie at the same time? And it was funny because you and Ollie had just also spoken.
Yeah.
So like, I actually just spoke to Charlie today. I'm like, it was meant to be.
Yeah.
But as we're coming to it was really, and I love you, Charlie, and I'm looking forward to our catch up tomorrow. But before we go, let the people know where they can find you, where they can connect, how they can support you.
Oh, thank you so much. On Instagram and TikTok, where I'm talking about the Tao of Podcasting, it's called the philosophy of podcasting. I know that's a mouthful, but that's where I'm trying to build an audience just around this dialogue. There's Charlie Birney on Instagram as well. The company that I co-run with Oscar is called Podville Media. So if you are in Washington, D.C., or you want to work with us as a production company, at podvillemedia.com. I don't use X too much anymore, Paula. I think you are. I don't post there too much. I do go on once or twice a week and make sure that I like stuff like your comments or some of our clients, which I try to follow as faithfully as possible. But I'm just not there very often, whether that's right or wrong. I do go to Instagram and TikTok and try to monitor things on YouTube as much as I possibly can. Please reach out to me at Philosophy of Podcasting, and I hope everybody else has as much fun on your show as I can. I'm so admiring what you've done and how you continue to evolve in this process, Paula.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you. I love you. And I also don't use X as much. I like that it streams there. I go in to post and get out, but I'm not there as much as I used to. Even Threads, I'm more on Instagram and lately more on Facebook because of engagement. But it's always a pleasure having you. It's always a pleasure seeing you and talking to you and just watching all the amazing stuff that you're working on, and I can't wait to be a part of some of the shit we get to do together.
Absolutely. And onward. Yes.
And thank to all those who are watching live on Shit Happens. I appreciate you for hanging out with us live. If you're watching the replay, please watch the replay and go show some support. Go buy the book on Amazon. Go follow him on TikTok. He's trying to grow on TikTok.
I am trying.
So spread some love, and until next time on Shit Happens. Oh, by the way, while we were talking, I got to do all this
transformation.
Now everybody will give me their stickers, you know?
Send your stickers to Paula. Yes, we're gonna have stickers on stickers.
Love you and goodbye. Until next time. I'll be back at 1, y'all.